King of the Hill is one of my favorite shows of all time. No other cartoon that I can think of at the moment has been able to match the realism of King of the Hill. Well, maybe as told by Ginger, but that's only because the characters would actually change outfits between episodes. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. So instead of reviewing an episode of King of the Hill, I decided to start a new series called Character Study. And who would be better to talk about in my first episode than my most hated character of all time, Peggy Hill. So without any further ado, let's find out what makes this bitch tick. What better place to start at than the beginning? Peggy was born in Montana to a cunt mother and a pretty cool father, to be honest. Peggy's constant desire to please and or show off to her mother are undeniably a big source of her overinflated ego, which we'll get into soon. She also has clown feet. One foot is size 16 and the other size is 16 and a half. I hope to Jeebus that they're both women's size. Anyway, kids used to make fun of her, and she still harbors deep-rooted insecurities about her feet. She met Hank while playing on her high school softball team, because everyone knows that women can't play baseball.
Coach, why do girls have to play with a ball that's twice the size of a normal baseball?
Because girls aren't very strong or coordinated.
Anyway, we all know how things turned out with Hank. So that's her basic biography. At least, it's a fitting enough biography for the purposes of this video. Now let's take a look at her personality. So, exactly where do I start off? Okay, first of all, her ego is the size of fucking Texas. But she's as dumb as a fucking rock. For instance, in the episode The Substitute Spanish Prisoner, Hank mentions that Peggy has said on multiple times that her IQ is 170, and Peggy admits that those are by her own estimates. I mean, what am I supposed to say to that? By the way, IQ does not automatically mean you're smart. I mean, for God's sakes, George W. Bush has an IQ of 120 and he's an idiot. Anyway, to prove her intelligence to Hank, she takes an online IQ test. I mean, come on, that's a red flag right there already. But anyway, she takes it and she's declared a genius. However, her niece Luann, who we all know isn't very smart, also gets declared a genius. You'd think this is as stupid as Peggy can get, but no. She ends up paying $999 for a fake PhD from the asshole who runs the site. She ends up devising a plan to get the money back, and to be fair, it works. I will give credit where it's due. But the fact that she even got into this mess just shows that she's a colossal dumbass. And these are only the events of one episode. I could go on and on if I wanted to. I could make multiple videos about her stupidity. But for the sake of time, I won't. Another thing she's egotistical about is her abilities in Spanish. However, we all know how she is in that, so I'm not even going to get into any of that. The last thing I want to mention is her vanity. Okay, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with loving yourself and not giving a shit about how people perceive you. But Peggy is so fucking narcissistic that she believes she can win a beauty contest. She also gets super jealous whenever Hank talks to women who are indeed much more attractive than her. Because we all know about Hank's marital affairs, right? Wait a minute. I mean, Peggy's pageant fever was probably going for a message about self-confidence and not living by some bullshit standard of beauty. And while there's nothing wrong with that moral, Peggy is somehow able to muck it up. At least for me. So yeah, high ego plus vanity plus blindness to certain aspects of reality equals Peggy Hill. That is truly an equation for a terrible character. To end on a good note, even with Peggy, I still love King of the Hill. If you personally enjoyed Peggy episodes, then that's great. But I'm just gonna skip any episode that has to do with her, cause I can't stand the bitch. Well, that's the video. Adios, mis amigos.
So just how far down do you wanna go? And we could talk it out over a cup of joe, and you could look deep into my eyes like I was a supermodel.